Today, we're taking you deep into the rugged wilds of Turkey for an all-out boar hunt, where unforgiving terrain and unpredictable challenges test every skill we've got. Just days ago, we got an urgent call. Dozens of wild boars tearing through farmland, threatening nearby villages. Within hours, our team deployed from the US to join forces with local hunters on a massive ground mission. This is high-stakes hunting, driven by precision, teamwork, and split-second decisions. Drop a 1 in the comments if you're ready to join the chase. Before dawn, we were posted on a mountainside overlooking the Black Sea. Locals call it Boar Paradise. After barely 100 meters of creeping, the hunting dog's excited howls echoed down the slope. I keyed the radio. Ambush ready. With everyone locked in, I eased forward toward the quarry. The moment sharpened. Steady breath, aim, fire. The shot was flawless. The boar folded instantly, no fight left. One precise round, and it was over. Paul and I pushed down the mountainside, the forest growing thicker with every step. But our dogs were locked in, cutting a clear path ahead. "Movement!" I shouted as a dark blur tore through the brush. Instinct took over. The boar exploded from cover, charging straight for Paul. Full speed, no hesitation. But this time, it picked the wrong target. Paul's shots hit true, striking the vital points. The beast stumbled, then tumbled hard down the slope. At the base of the mountain, we held our ground, ready to stop anything else trying to break through. A thick silence settled over the mountain, broken only by the sharp, distant barks of the dogs. Rifle in hand, I waited, still, focused, listening to every rustle in the brush. Then, without warning, a wild boar burst out like a missile through the greenery. One shot, that's all it took. The boar staggered, then dropped hard. This remote mountain, lush and untouched, is a perfect haven. Dense cover, endless food, everything they need. But the boars here aren't just big, they're fierce. One look at the beast lying at our feet, and you'd understand why. Out of nowhere, the dogs erupted in a wild chorus of barks. Something else was on the move. Likely spooked by the earlier shots, another boar broke from cover, crashing through the brush. I tracked its path, shifted position, and moved to cut it off. It tried to veer away, but instead came straight for me. Wrong move. One clean shot, and it dropped where it stood. Dusk was closing in, but we pressed on. The dogs stayed sharp, their noses guiding us through the shadows. Still, taking another shot now would have been reckless. So we held our ground, tense and ready, while the dogs worked to push the next boars closer. "They're here! Take the shot!" I yelled, adrenaline spiking as shapes tore through the brush. In seconds, it was chaos. Shots fired, boars dropping, the whole scene a blur of motion and noise. Exhausted from hours of pursuit, we finally turned back toward camp. But just as we thought it was over, another boar charged onto the trail, blocking our path. Instinct overrode fatigue. I lifted my rifle and fired. The shot hit true. The boar fell instantly, a sharp cry echoing through the trees. Maybe it's instinct, maybe it's duty. Out here, when a boar appears, hesitation isn't an option. Every November, the farmlands of Denizli, Turkey, usually hum with the rhythm of the corn harvest. But this year, the season's excitement turned to anger and loss as wild boars rampaged through the fields night after night. Watching months of hard work destroyed in hours, I knew I couldn't stay on the sidelines. Fueled by determination, I teamed up with local hunters to take the fight to them, one hunt at a time. At first light, we rolled out in our reliable hunting truck, bound for the vast open fields of Denizli. Barely 10 minutes after arrival, movement caught our eye. A handful of wild boars breaking from cover. I steadied my rifle and took the shot, but one kept coming, charging hard like the bullet hadn't even touched it. The dogs surged forward, pushing the herd straight into our sights. With the net tightening from all sides, the boars had nowhere left to run. This area has earned its reputation as a true wild boar haven, and it didn't disappoint. Before long, we locked eyes on our next target. Acting fast, we intercepted its path and set up in the perfect position. I steadied my rifle, took a deep breath, and fired. At that very moment, my teammate landed another flawless shot. 2 boars down in seconds. Pure precision, perfect timing. That double takedown lit a fire under the whole team. Our focus sharpened, our adrenaline surged. Moments later, a dark shape streaked across the field, another boar on the run. We slipped quietly into the tall grass, hearts pounding, waiting for the right second to strike. Then, in one synchronized burst, shots cracked through the air. The boar never stood a chance. It fell right in the middle of the open field. Have you ever hunted wild boar with a rifle before? Type 2 if you have, or 3 if you haven't, but would love to try. Meanwhile, things were heating up fast in John's sector. A fierce chase was unfolding, but his steady aim and years of experience turned the tide quickly. The boar dropped clean with just one precise shot. Moments later, the dogs earned their keep again, flushing out a massive beast from the dense brush. It came barreling straight at us, wild and relentless. But we were ready. I steadied my rifle, lined up the sights, and fired. One shot, that's all it took. The boars here aren't ordinary. They're bold, ruthless, and unafraid of anything. But that's fine by us. We stay cool, focused, and let skill do the talking.
Bir görüş üstüne açım. Vallahi billahi çok güzel.
As we shifted to a new position, faint noises echoed from the far end of the field, low, tense, and unmistakable. Within seconds, another wild boar exploded from the brush, sprinting for its life. But luck wasn't on its side today. Our shooters were locked in, 2 sharp cracks, and it was over. Just as the dust settled, word came in. A whole herd was holed up in a cornfield mid-harvest. We raced over, and what we saw was pure chaos. Boars bursting out like a tidal wave. The air filled with gunfire and shouting, but in the frenzy, only one went down. The rest vanished into the fields. The message was clear. This battle's far from finished. Tomorrow, the hunt continues. What you just witnessed wasn't about sport. It was necessity. The Adhere region, right in the center of France, is under siege. Once known for its golden fields of grain, it's now ground zero in a battle against a booming wild boar population that's tearing the land apart. Crops flattened, irrigation lines shredded, and the constant threat of disease spreading through farms. It's devastation on a scale you can't ignore. That's why, last October, local authorities made the call. Hunters had to step in. Nearly 40 of us answered, joining forces to take back control of Adhere, the heart of France's growing boar crisis. We split into multiple squads, each made up of 4 to 6 hunters, positioned along the trails the boars were known to use. Not long after, movement flickered behind a patch of brush. A lone boar emerged, tense and alert. It froze, listening for danger. That was my cue. I steadied my aim and took the shot. One clean hit, it dropped instantly. The silence didn't last long. Before we could even reposition, the brush ahead began to rustle again. A whole herd was moving in, and the real action was just about to begin. Tony took the first shot at the herd, but it went wide, just enough to send the boars scattering in all directions. The sudden burst of chaos left him visibly frustrated. "Not again," he muttered, reloading with determination. Moments later, a huge boar broke away from the group, thundering across the field. This time, Tony didn't hesitate. He steadied his aim, squeezed the trigger, and the shot landed perfectly. The giant dropped where it stood. "Now that's more like it," he said with a grin. "Biggest one of the morning, no doubt." We maintained our ambush, knowing this was the critical moment. The herd tightened together, dozens of wild boars pushing through the clearing. Then came the command, and the air erupted with gunfire. Every second mattered. We fired in rhythm, taking down several before they could scatter. Any hesitation would mean chaos in the nearby fields. As the herd broke, our flanking teams stepped in, catching the stragglers in perfect crossfire. By afternoon, we were still patrolling the trails that wound through the farmland. The boars had grown wiser, splitting into smaller groups, moving quietly, hiding deep in the brush. But they couldn't outsmart us for long. Every time one appeared, it went down fast. They ran hard, but not faster than a bullet. My pulse spiked when a huge boar burst from cover and charged straight at me, driven by the dogs. In the end, we hauled in our catch, processed the meat, and shared it with the local farmers. A hard-earned reward after a long day's hunt. Night descended, cloaking the land in uneasy silence. Yet we knew, out there in the darkness, the wild boars were on the move. Dozens of them, thundering together like a storm, a true nightmare waiting to unfold. We tightened our grip on our weapons, steadied our breathing, and braced ourselves for what could be the fiercest hunt yet. The question lingered in the night air. Could we take control and bring down the beasts? In Texas, wild boars have become a relentless force of destruction, tearing through farms and the environment alike. With millions roaming unchecked, they devastate crops, churn up soil, and leave entire fields in ruins, pushing farmers to their limits. As night falls, their activity surges, a silent invasion under the cover of darkness. Without decisive control, this growing menace will only escalate, bringing consequences no one can predict. After receiving reports of a massive herd ravaging the area, we made our way to Texas. The state greeted us with a breathtaking sunset, stretching over endless fields. The calm beauty of the scene belied the danger lurking beneath. Cunning, powerful beasts poised to wreak havoc. As night fell, we prepared for the hunt, equipping ourselves with advanced gear. In the pitch-black darkness, visibility was limited, but our thermal imaging systems gave us the edge. We steadied our aim, hearts racing, before deciding it was time to pull the trigger. We moved to a nearby orchard and spread grain across a bare patch of earth, the perfect lure for the hungry intruders. Almost immediately, massive wild boars began to gather, drawn by the irresistible scent. They rooted eagerly through the dirt, savoring what would unknowingly be their final meal. Then, with a single, precise shot, the first boar collapsed instantly, setting the hunt into motion. The herd erupted in panic, crashing over one another in a desperate scramble to escape. But the hunt was far from over. We tracked them relentlessly, taking careful aim at each new target. As they dug into their favorite bait, I steadied myself, drew a deep breath, and squeezed the trigger. The gunshot cracked through the night, and one by one the boars fell. Precision, control, a flawless strike, and results that spoke for themselves.
Hey, what you got there, bud?
Tonight, we ventured out once more, driven by sheer determination. Fingers tight around our weapons, we swore this threat would end. Before us, chaos reigned. Wild boars ripped through the field, trampling crops as if claiming a personal buffet. Each beast was massive and fierce, their coarse fur casting shifting shadows in the darkness. Despite their sharp instincts and heightened senses, cunning would not save them this night. We crouched low, holding our breath in absolute silence. Everything was in place, and their nightmare was about to begin. I've hunted plenty before, but never faced a herd this massive and ferocious. Without a second thought, we slipped into position. Gunfire erupted through the night, echoing across the fields. Though we felled many, their sheer numbers made it impossible to take them all at once. We pressed forward relentlessly, refusing to let a single boar escape. With a herd this size, we knew more were still lurking in the shadows, waiting for their moment. We couldn't afford to let a single one escape. With a perfectly aimed shot, the largest, fattest boar, the undisputed leader of the pack, crashed to the ground. The rest scattered in a frenzy, but their chance of survival had vanished. Moments later, a few more shots echoed through the night, leaving dark, motionless shapes across the field. A fitting end for these relentless intruders daring to invade human territory. Thanks for watching the full hunt. If you enjoyed it, show your support with a like and subscribe. Until next time, stay tuned for more.